The watch that we're reviewing today is a pretty exciting one for 2020. It's the new Bond watch, the Omega Seamaster Divers 300 meters 007 edition. Now, it's a very cool watch for a number of reasons, but one of the most exciting reasons is that it is one of the first ever non-limited edition Bond watches. This is going to be an important release for Omega this year because when you get the blend of James Bond fans, as well as Ian Fleming fans, cinema fans, and Omega fans, you get a boiling pot of enthusiasts that are going to absolutely love this watch, and it becomes a more important piece than just another wristwatch because the cultural relevance, the impact on popular culture is so much greater. James Bond has had an Omega on his wrist in every film for the last 25 years. Since 1995 when GoldenEye was released, and Pierce Brosnan wore an Omega for his role as James Bond. The watches have acted as key points in the plot to help James Bond get out of difficult situations with gadgets such as laser cutters, bomb detonators, or grappling hooks. Daniel Craig certainly had his hand in the design of this watch, in part to help the Omega design team get a better understanding of exactly how James Bond might want to be using his watch and the certain features that he might want included.
Does it do anything? It tells the time.
And I like to think, because this is Daniel Craig's last time playing James Bond, he wants a physical reminder of the time that he spent playing the most famous spy in the world. When you look at the key specifications for the watch, it's relatively similar to a normal Seamaster 300. You've still got the 42mm case, it's still about 13mm thick, but where they've really improved the design is on the dial. There is no date window, which I think is a fantastic decision. The symmetry and the balance is outstanding. But you've also got the entire watch made out of grade 2 titanium. So it's not the same sheen as the stainless steel that Omega typically use on their Seamaster 300. It's much more dull and under the radar, which I think really works with the aesthetic of what the watch is trying to do. The watch also has a couple of vintage inspired cues, which I think look really, really good. The bracelet has straight end links, the crystal covering the dial is heavily domed, and the luminova on the bezel as well as the dial is a sort of tropical brown tone. And I wasn't immediately sold on it when I saw the press photos, but having it now on the wrist, I think it actually complements a sort of warmth to the overall darkened metal of the titanium and the bracelet. The movement powering the new Bond watch is the Omega Caliber 8806, which is a coaxial escapement as well as being master chronometer certified. It offers 55 hours of power reserve and is actually the same movement that Omega used in their modern versions of the Railmaster. As you'd expect from this watch, if it was the Bond edition or not, it's water resistant to 300 meters or about 1,000 feet and features a helium escape valve at 10 o'clock, which quite nicely, if you unscrew it, can see a little red ring around it, which is to remind you that before you go diving, the helium escape valve is open. Holding the watch to your wrist is this grade 2 titanium mesh bracelet, which not only looks great, but is solidly made. It feels robust and reliable. It's got a convenient deployant clasp and is very easy to adjust just with your fingernail. The other really cool design features of this latest Bond watch are the military cues that they've used both on the dial and on the caseback. On the dial and the caseback, they featured a broad arrow. On the caseback, we've got a series of numbers which are actually designed to mimic the exact same numbers that would normally be on a military watch. After wearing this watch for about a week now, I'm pretty comfortable saying that this would be an excellent everyday watch. The Milanese strap is fairly comfortable. I'd be interested in wearing it on a NATO as well, just to test that out. But the size is not something that you should be concerned about. I don't have a particularly large wrist, but for 42mm, it wears quite well, and the lugs actually taper down slightly so that it actually moves with the contour of your wrist. Beyond that, from a design perspective, it's a very much under the radar watch. Not many people are going to know exactly what it is if you wear it, to the coffee shop or something like that. And I think the muted lume as well as the darkened material of the titanium work really well in tandem. The other benefit of the titanium is that it's so light on the wrist. And while you're certainly aware that you're wearing it, it doesn't feel too heavy or make you lopsided in any way at all. In my time wearing the watch, I haven't noticed any hairline scratches, which makes me think that titanium is actually an excellent choice of material for an everyday watch. The only potential cause for concern is the slightly domed sapphire crystal, which, as it protrudes just a bit above the bezel, could be susceptible to some sorts of impact as you go about your day-to-day life. Just as the titanium bracelet is very scratch resistant but also very light, it does make it slightly stiff when you try to twist it laterally. There isn't a whole lot of play there. So it's not as flexible as some other metal bracelets that I've worn on my wrist. However, if you're finding that it's too tight or it's uncomfortable, it's very, very easy to adjust it one notch with your fingers. It doesn't require any tools or anything like that, unlike most steel bracelets, which is a huge positive. While some might have an issue with it not having a date window as an everyday watch, I think that the improved aesthetics of the symmetry of the dial is definitely worth the price. While it certainly isn't Omega's cheapest dive watch in their current lineup, I think it goes a long way to justifying itself, in the fact that arguably it's the best looking Bond Omega that's ever been produced. The design is sensational, it's balanced and it's under the radar, and beyond that, it's cased in professional grade titanium that makes an excellent material for an everyday watch because it is scratch resistant and also very light on the wrist. In addition to that, the movement is one of Omega's finest, with the master certification and coaxial escapement, meaning that not only is it very accurate on a day-to-day level, but it also has rather long service intervals, which will mean that you don't have to go back to the boutique every 3 to 5 years, hopefully, and it will spend more time on your wrist instead. So be sure to keep an eye out for it, and obviously take the time to go and see the film as well. I think this one's going to be pretty good, and it's Daniel Craig's last time as James Bond. If you like this video, consider subscribing and let us know what your thoughts are on this latest Bond watch in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.